Hello, everyone. We have here Thomas Ripsam, the CEO of the legendary Martin guitar, the oldest and the most known and the most influential acoustic guitar manufacturer in the world.
Hi, Eugene.
Hi,
Nice to meet
Thomas. So, my first question is about this D3 millionth model that you presented at NAMM show, which is major milestone for any company. Um, and what can you tell us about the story behind this model and the path how it became such a major milestone?
Yeah. So, Martin Guitars has a history of celebrating milestones. And one type of milestone that we love to celebrate is when we hit a certain number of what we call serialized guitars. This year we're going to hit our 3 millionth milestone, which means we will have produced 3 million serialized guitars. We also produce some unserialized guitars, but this is serialized, right? So that guitars that have a serial number. And for each of these guitars, we think about a theme that we want to express with the guitar. 2.5 years ago, we celebrated our 2.5 millionth serialized guitar. So this is the 3 millionth. And for this guitar, the theme was focus on our company name is CF Martin and Co. And the focus of this guitar was on what does and Co really mean? And Co in this context was really about a guitar that is about the people that have touched Martin, the company, throughout its history, 192 years. And so the guitar itself has various features that express the impact of people. One is you have on the top of the guitar these growth rings, like from a real tree, and this is based on a sycamore tree, a real tree. You have 192 rings, growth rings, that basically show the history of the company. But then we have on the back of the guitar the sycamore tree, right? And Martin Guitars is based in a street called Sycamore Street. And so the sycamore tree is special to us. And so we use the sycamore tree and the branches and the leaves to basically express people that have been part of the company's history. And if you look at the guitar, there are even fingerprints of real Martin co-workers that are inlaid into the guitar. So, this is an example of the theme, right, and what we wanted to express. But that's what this guitar was all about. It took a year and a half to complete, so big project, lots of people involved, including some of our partners. And we were so excited to roll this out at NAMM. We actually made 3 of these guitars. One will be for our museum. 2 will be for sale.
This is really exciting. This guitar is beautiful. I only saw it on a picture, but surely can imagine how beautiful it is, a piece of real art. And speaking about art, you have also introduced art series with W. Olivier and D. Robert Ten,
Yeah.
which you did in partnership, in collaboration with great artists Julie Heffernan and Robert Goetz. And how do you feel that their work transcends and resonating with the sound of Martin? And how is it done in the sense of collaboration between the artists and the Martin guitar luthiers who work on that project?
Yeah. Yep. Great question. Yeah. So I think for us, our purpose, our brand is all about unleashing the artist within. And so there are various forms that how you can do that. But we do believe that art and music are very closely intertwined. right? And of course, when you look at a guitar, there's the sound, there's the playability. But with Martin guitars, what's also important is the aesthetics, right? The visual artistry that we bring out with our guitars. And so Martin has a history of working with artists, various artists that contribute to guitars. You mentioned Robert Goetzel. Robert Goetzel has probably done at least 10 different guitars with us. And some of these are hand painted, like the one that we announced at the most recent NAMM show with the hummingbird. Some he contributes the art, but then the images are printed on the tops, like for example the Biosphere guitar that we also rolled out with a whale theme and with the coral reef. So there are two of those guitars, and with Julie Heffernan. Julie Heffernan, I connected with Julie because I saw some of her imagery used on some electric guitars by a different company. And so I connected with her, and I was just blown away by her artistry. And we talked and decided, let's do something together. And then it became a collaborative effort. Her ideas, our ideas, and that created the double OL Oliver. It's called Oliver because she dedicated this guitar to her son, whose name is
Wow.
Oliver. But what's beautiful, I think, about this guitar is that one of her paintings, she picked one of her paintings as the image for use on the top of the guitar, so you can actually see the image constantly. Whereas on the electric guitars, it was on the back of the guitar, so you wouldn't really see the image that often. So yeah, so we love to work with artists. Sometimes they approach us, sometimes we approach them, but in all these cases, it becomes a highly collaborative effort, and we think it's something natural to do, and we're very excited about it.
Yeah, and that shows and explains maybe your collaboration with Art Gallery. That's
Exactly.
you paid a visit recently to greet the community and kind of meet with people, local people in your town, and
That's correct. I happen, besides my love for guitars, I also love to paint. So I'm a painter myself and create art through that medium. And so Art Gallery, it's a gallery in New Hope, and they have a series that is called Creativity, Healing Through Creativity.
Mhm.
And
Nice.
and so we work with one of the owners from Art Gallery as Martin Guitars, and so it was an opportunity for me to show some of the guitars that I was actually involved in designing, to show my art, but also to talk more about the role that creativity and art has played in my life, and the various passions I have, and ways how I love to express that in my life.
It's really inspirational. It's really important that your company and yourself, of course, connecting those two different arts together, and that's
Yeah.
raising the value and the bar much higher.
Thank
Of
you.
course.
Yeah.
Martin Guitar have this program, Martin Artist Showcase. And how does it differentiates from conventional endorsement programs? How does it benefit both artists and your brand? And what do you look for in the artists when you're considering them for endorsements? How does that
Sure.
partnership helps musicians to elevate their craft and your brand as well?
Absolutely. I think if you look back at the history of Martin Guitars, there's a long history of Martin working with iconic artists,
Yes.
and we're very proud of that history. But as you probably also know, the artist landscape has become more complicated, right? There are lots of artists out there. They're also influencers. And so we have various ways how we collaborate with artists. But what triggered this idea about this showcase artist program was that we wanted to create a real program around how we celebrate, promote, and support artists. And so we came up with this idea that, every year we would basically announce a class of artists that we support, they support us, and so it's a platform, I think, for uh, promoting, celebrating, supporting each other. And now these artists that we just announced, the latest, so the 2025 class, eight artists, and if you look at them, they cover a variety of genres. So that's really important for us, that we don't just focus on a particular music genre, but we cover a wide variety of genres, because that's how we think about the audience in terms of people that are playing Martins or should play Martins. All of the artists that we work with, they have a significant followership. They have a significant level of accomplishment for what they do. Some of these artists are Grammy nominated. Some of them work with various labels. And so there's a certain level of establishment that we're looking for in these artists. But we're also looking for variety, right? Because for us, back to what I mentioned earlier, unleashing the artist within, that's what we're all about. And we know there's not one guitar, there's not one artist that is the only artist that inspires us and our players. Usually it's a spectrum of different instruments and different artists. And so that's what the showcase program is. We don't pay artists. That's maybe also one thing that we often highlight. We like to work with artists that have a genuine interest in playing Martin guitars and being connected with Martin guitars. And we love the relationship aspect of it, right? And I mean, we announce these classes, but for us, it's a connection for life. And being part of the Martin family means something, right? If you think about the history,
Absolutely.
think about some of the
Yes.
artists that we have and continue to work with, and now we're adding to that roster. So, and for these artists, they will be part of something that is truly, truly special.
And can I add that names like David Gilmour and Bob Dylan speak by themselves, and having your name as a guitar player next to those icons is already a big deal.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I joined, I owned several Martins before I joined Martin Guitar, and obviously knew about the company. But when I joined 4 years ago, to be part of this family company that has and continues to work with some of the artists that frankly impacted me in a big way when I was a teenager. You mentioned David Gilmour
Yeah.
or Steve Howe from Yes, or many others, Eric Clapton, and now John Mayer. I mean, there are so many artists that frankly they they have such an impact on somebody's life, right? And certainly for me, they were really important throughout my life. And then for us to work with some of these incredibly accomplished, gifted, and super interesting people, it's just a real honor. And we are privileged that we can do that.
How do you see the trends and issues in today's music industry, and what role Martin guitar plays in support of musicianship and songwriting, live performances, especially in ongoing streaming revolution and generative AI boom? It's since there are also many concerns that AI can replace the real artists and
Yeah.
making real music. What's your input on that? What's your insight?
So, I mean, it's no secret that the music industry is changing at all levels, right?
Yeah.
And And you know, to me personally, and I think for us at Martin, um, we think change is it's just a natural part of life, right? And but with change comes opportunity, and with change, even for a company like Martin that has been around for 192 years, comes the need to evolve, to stay relevant and continue to be playing a leadership role in our space, right? So that's how we think about it. And when you have changes at the consumer level, at the channels, right? How people buy, how they play, how they create music. I mean, a lot of that is changing. The materials we use with our instruments. There are many changes, but for us, I think at the heart of how we move forward and what we do is all about what are the things that are really important to be relevant and be leading, right? And that's how we're thinking. And so, uh, and that's why, for example, we know in our industry the instruments, they're really, really, really important. That's ultimately what players are using, what gives meaning to them. But the experience they have when they engage with a company like Martin is also important, and that goes way beyond the instrument. That's about when they get to our website. Do they experience something that feels premium or not, right? Um, so we do have, I think, if you look back, kind of a lot of the new things that we have introduced or strengthened or done more of, it's because we think those things matter. The showcase program, right? We
Yeah.
don't just do it because we love it. We think it is because we feel we need to do a lot more or can do a lot more on the artist and influencer side. Digital is a big theme, of course. We've broadened the channels that we sell through. So it's an evolution. Now back to your question about how music is being created and how do we support that. I mean, we support it in a variety of ways. Of course, we provide the products that help players, um, but we also promote learning through a variety of ways. For our coworkers, we actually support them financially to help them learn instruments. We have, I think, one of your questions may be related to that. We have this lesson room that's all about making it easier for people to learn to play guitars. So we can talk a little bit more about that. We donate a lot to different causes that are all about creating music makers. Chris Martin and myself, um, we are on the board of NAMM, and and as you know, the NAMM organization is all about creating music makers. So I think we're trying to be an active part of helping players to create music. We're obviously also co-sponsoring a lot of festivals and all that, right? So there's a lot of activity that we do. But to your question about streaming and new technologies to create music, um, you know, you can't stop it. And ultimately, I think what these things do is they provide tools to people to do what they want to do, right? They want to create music, and if AI will help them, then it will help them. And I think AI is very powerful. So people will figure out how they will use that. I do
Yeah.
not think that AI will totally eradicate the pleasure of picking up your own instrument,
Never.
um, yeah, or getting excited about creating something that is incredibly meaningful and human and has soul. And so I see some of these things as tools, right? I think some of those tools will create some music that will be used by some commercial entities because they may not be willing to pay a live performer or a live creator, but the universe is so broad when we talk about how you can create music, perform music, enjoy music, that I think there's enough space for these technologies. But at the heart of it, I think will still be the human experience. And for acoustic guitars specifically, I do think acoustic guitars, they are organic. They are based on organic materials largely,
Yeah.
and organic materials, they have their own afterlife, so to speak. And for people who enjoy acoustic instruments, they know the joy they get out of that. Um,
It's vibration. It's all about vibrations and
it's
emotion.
vibrations, it's the sound, but yeah, it's the connection to the instrument. And I think it's different than if you use the plastic guitar, right, or a carbon made guitar, because it's not organic. And so I think the palette. I love to use the term palette. The palette is very broad, and there's so many possibilities. And I'm personally not really worried about AI. I actually think it's going to help us focus on the things that may matter the most ultimately, to actually create the human experience by really thinking about and focusing on what makes us human, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think nothing can replace real human emotions and connections and
Right.
expression of it. And that's
Exactly.
the main natural instinct for us to connect with other people through those emotional connections. And music is one of the most powerful arts to that able is to transcend it and provide that experience.
Absolutely. I was in Nashville last week. I went to two concerts. One was Gary Clark, and then the other one was Sierra Hall Bluegrass with quite a few special guests. And one concert, Gary Clark, was at the Ryman in Nashville, and the Sierra Hall concert was at the bowling alley. Not massive venues, intimate venues. And I tell you, if there had been an artificially created music in those venues, nobody would have shown up, right? And
I
and
couldn't even visualize that how it's going to be. It's just going to be a totally different event. It could be fun though. It could be
it
real
could be
fun,
fun.
but it could be different genre.
It would be different genre. Maybe it would be for dance or something, right? Where it's the music is
Comic Con
there,
for Comic
but
Con.
yeah, or Comic Con.
Why
But
not?
that experience, the emotions that and the communal spirit that people got out of these concerts last week that I was part of, yeah, it's gonna stay with me for a long time.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So tell us more about this Martin Lesson Room. And how does it align with Save the Music Foundation by NAM? So you just mentioned that you're on the board with
Right.
the NAM show, and NAM does a lot of educational programs. And how does that aligns together
Yeah.
with your program, with your mission to
Ab-
elevate musicianship and help
Yep.
music players, guitar
Yep.
players?
Well, we got feedback, I think, for years, Martin, to offer more in terms of actual learning opportunities for players, right? And so we thought about what we could do, and many of us are players ourselves, and the TrueFire company came up, the TrueFire learning platform came up that I personally use. And so we thought, can we maybe do something with TrueFire? And we came up with this idea of creating courses together with artists that play Martin guitars, right? So it's a Martin guitar environment, but through the TrueFire platform. And we launched that a couple of years ago, and at this point we have 10 artists, 37 courses, and we think this is a great one way to participate in offering some learning opportunities. how it is different from kind of the charities. I think Martin Guitars, we support various causes in the music industry, including actually donating to the NAM that NAM organization that you mentioned, but lots of other music education institutions. But that is more providing money or providing volunteer time or sitting on boards. It's not actually offering learning content that makes it easy for Martin players to learn music. That is the TrueFire partnership, Martin TrueFire, to offer Martin curated content over that platform.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much. And tell us a little bit about Martin Guitar Charity Foundation. What does it do for the community?
Yeah.
And does it go beyond the music, or it stays still within the music education, or is something more bigger, something different?
Yeah. So I think a core value for Martin Guitars throughout its history has been that we want to give back to the community, and we also want to be a visible part of the communities that we are part of, right? And so so we are obviously part of we are based in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, as you know, and the broader geographic area that we are part of is called Lehigh Valley. And so that is one type of community that we actively support. And so in 1996, Chris Martin, the current Chris Martin IV, had the idea of creating this Martin Foundation, Martin Guitar Foundation. That foundation supports various causes, not just music, right? It's a mix of arts and entertainment, community service, and environmental and educational causes, right? And just to give you an idea of what we do, last year we had over 90 grants and amounting to nearly $600,000 that were assigned to these various organizations via the grants, right? So it's quite a bit of financial support, lots of different charities. And in addition to the charitable foundation, we also have the Martin Company donations committee. And there we last year donated another $250,000 or so. So we love to give back. We love to support various causes that ultimately impact the community, right? And so that's kind of what that foundation is all about. We really love it. And we have this Martin Guitar Museum. We do a lot of tours pretty much every day. So when people come to Martin Guitars, you can actually experience how the guitars are being built. And then we also have this museum. And for the museum, we like to ask for a $5 donation that ultimately also will go to the charitable foundation of Martin, right? That ultimately benefits people out there. It's not for the benefit of Martin Guitars, it's for the benefit of the communities that we're part of. So yeah, it's really important for us. We are all excited. And we also have Martin employees participate a lot by volunteering their personal time in many local causes. And yeah, really important for us. And we just think it's a natural part of being a responsible company.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and it's really amazing also that the company of the global scale and with global recognition like Martin Guitar to be part of the local community it's really admiring, and it's also I think it inspires your not just only employees, but it shows that your brand cares about people greatly, not just doing the marketing stand or something, because probably a lot of your Martin guitar fans and players even outside Pennsylvania are not aware about your community involvement, but it's
Yes.
a big part of your company mission and vision and how you connect.
Another example that I can talk about is that we support a local organization, United Way Greater Lehigh Valley. I sit on their boards. Chris, this year, was the campaign chair. That's the annual fundraising. And these fundraising efforts, they generate millions and millions of dollars that ultimately benefit the community. And so, there's lots each of us can do, some small things, some big things, but I do think, and as you know, the world has a lot of people that have needs. Not everybody is in the same lucky position as some of us, and so I think giving back is natural, but it's also something really important. It has real impact on the world.
Yes, thank you so much, Thomas. And
Thank you.
we thank you for your time.
Totally
And we hope to see you soon and talk about new exciting events and things and big milestones for Martin Guitar and for your artists and new big things happening in the near future.
wonderful. Thank you so much, Eugene.